think of Los Angeles, many things may come to mind: sunshine, movie stars, Hollywood, or on the more negative side, visible homelessness, street crime. But this year, LA has been ground zero for something quite surprising: a working class revolt. In the latest example, 11,000 city workers actually went on strike on Tuesday of this week, bringing some city services to a complete halt, slowing others. Talking about lifeguards, sanitation workers, custodians, mechanics, groundskeepers, and more, all walked out over low wages and understaffing. As one airport custodian told the LA Times in rather succinct fashion, it's more work for less money. But these LA workers are far from alone. Their brothers and sisters across the city and across industries have been revolting in an extraordinary year that has seen more nationwide strike activity than almost any other year this century. Nurses, dock workers, hotel workers, they have all staged strikes or work stoppages. They are now joined by the workers at the heart of this company town, the writers and actors who make our favorite shows and movies, and the ones who are just struggling to get their foot in the door of their own Hollywood dream. They are all out on strike, demanding a stake in the future of their industry. There is no city in America facing anywhere close to this level of worker rebellion. Partly, it's because LA actually has decent union density, so workers are already organized for collective action. But if you listen to what the workers are telling reporters about why they had no choice but to strike, there is a common thread running through each of these actions, and that common thread is housing. The total unaffordability of housing in the LA area has made it impossible for workers to be able to get by on their wages. It's immiserated them with multi-hour commutes, pushed them in some instances into literal homelessness. Joe Martinez, a city worker on strike this week who works servicing construction equipment at LAX, he told the LA Times that he lives 90 minutes away from his job because it is the closest place that he can possibly afford. And yet, he actually considers himself lucky because a lot of his fellow workers, they have even longer commutes. This, of course, takes them away from their family, their communities, drains their wallets and their souls, by the way, as they sit in mind-numbing traffic. According to Martinez, quote, "We want to get respect from the city to go back to the bargaining table. Our biggest thing is cost of living." In a report on the hotel workers' strike, Alex Press documents how automated management apps are being weaponized to bring in unwitting scabs in an attempt to break that hotel workers' strike. One of those who was summoned by app to break the strike was a man named Thomas Bradley. He immediately dropped his shift and joined the picket line the moment he realized he was being used like a pawn to try to hurt other workers. Joining the striking workers was no small thing for Bradley either, who had struggled to find employment in the hospitality industry in spite of him being trained and credentialed for the work. It's a complaint that's shared by many Black workers who are trying to get a foothold in the hotel industry. Bradley's joblessness had pushed him from precarity into actual homelessness. And when he showed up for that shift, he was living out of his car. Unite Here Local 11 co-president Ada Briseño explained that this precarity is shared even by many of her members who do have a job. Quote, "There's no thing that I'm hearing from my workers. There's a new thing that I'm hearing from my workers. They are sharing by shift rooms in a house. If you work in the PM, you get to sleep there in the AM. And if you work in the AM, you get to sleep in the PM. They actually rent a room by shift. It is incredible that we are in this crisis in this country." The union has now since helped Bradley get a job as a banquet runner at the one hotel which was able to come to terms before the contract deadline. The housing crisis has also taken center stage in the Hollywood shutdown as well. An anonymous studio executive said the quiet part out loud when he told reporters that he and his fellow execs wanted to weaponize this housing affordability crisis to force writers to accept a bad deal. The end game is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses, a studio executive told Deadline. Acknowledging the cold as ice approach, several other sources reiterated the statement. One insider called it a cruel but necessary evil. Now, LA is at or near the top of every list that I looked at of the least affordable cities in the country. This, of course, is thanks to a combination of astronomical housing prices and comparatively low wages. When you add the sprawl, traffic congestion, and poor public transit, you can easily understand why the entire workforce is at its wit's end. LA is also among the worst cities in the country for income inequality, as superstars and executives live lives of incredible luxury, and the workers who make the whole place go commute 4 hours just to barely scrape by. Could also, guys, be a canary in the coal mine. It's not like the rest of the country is doing so great on housing prices. Nearly 2/3 of major metros just saw their housing prices hit record highs. Meanwhile, mortgage rates are at a near 23-year high as the Fed has pushed interest rates up at breakneck speed. These two factors together, housing prices and mortgage rates, have made housing the least affordable that it has ever been. And while the news has somewhat improved in recent months, it is not like wages have come anywhere close to keeping up with these ever escalating housing prices. In other words, don't be surprised if the LA Workers Revolt is coming to a city near you. And so I was reading all these stories and I was thinking, what is the connective tissue here? It is not an...
Hey guys, if you want to see what I had to say to Krystal's monologue, not just this one, all of them going back to the very beginning, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com.